Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
For today, sir, I don't know if you did listen to the presidential speech
Speech.
for this morning, where President Bola Tinubu talked about um, the country being declared that the country has turned the corner and that the worst days are over. Though he cited various economic milestones achieved during his administration. What do you have to say about that, sir?
Well, I listened to the speech. I watched it live, and then I went back to read the text of the speech. I followed every word of it, and I want to tell you, I want to start like this by saying that whatever my answers are going to be today, this in the course of this interview, I want to remind your viewers that it's not going to be based on politics. It's not going to be based on religion. It's not going to be based on culture. It's not going to be based on, you know, innuendos. I'm just going to say the way I've seen it compared to places that I've been to, countries and cities that I've traveled to around the world. That wasn't a speech. That was a rallying call. The speech of the president today was a rallying call, was the kind of message. The thing is, I don't care what you think about the man. I don't care how you see him. I want you to look beyond the messenger and listen to the message. That was a call. That's what we need to unite our people. All we can do now is, whether his policies are right or not, a genuine man spoke to us today. A man who truly and genuinely wants to see the best of Nigeria, who wants to leave a legacy behind, spoke to the nation today. I am one of his converts, based on what I've seen, and I'll pray for his administration. Now, let's go to the message itself. He outlined a lot of things. He poured out his vision, and he told us what he has done. And then he's promising us a better tomorrow than today. All we need to do is go and verify some of the things that he has put in the open for us to see if they are truly the way he has put them. But the negative side of his current administration is this: his message is not going far and is not loud enough. He needs to get people around him who will tell the nation how we can endure. Because before a new chapter will open in your life, you have to go through challenges. Our country is in peril, and we have somebody who wants to make the difference. He cannot succeed if we don't follow him genuinely. That's my conclusion about that statement today.
Okay, sir. Now, how would you assess Nigeria's political journey since independence in 1960, in line with the dream of the founding fathers?
Well, we must celebrate the fact that for 25 years we've had uninterrupted democratic process. Um, we should be thankful to God that we've been able to achieve this without much chaos, crisis, and civil unrest. However, the level of achievement that we've had as it relates to affecting the lives of the ordinary person on the streets, we may not have achieved that. And that is because there are spaces within the democratic process that we are not actually dealing with or tackling, particularly strengthening our institution in order to block all loopholes for corruption. And from my findings, this is what this administration has done tremendously very well through the civil service, and then empowering our people in a way that we can copy the Chinese model of empowering their individuals, even though they have a 1.4 billion population as a country. And then we must end up by making sure that we are heard loud and clear on the global stage. We are sitting on the table of negotiation representing and carrying the burden of the 54 African states. We are supposed to lead the African continent on the global stage, and we have that capacity to do that. So these are areas we need to strengthen. These are areas this administration need to start working on. Like I've always said, start appointing your ambassadors. Those countries that he has gone to sign bilateral, multilateral investment deals, he needs ambassador capacity level to be able to expedite them in a way that we can begin to feel the impact of all these foreign trips. Do you understand? So this is what I have to say about the president's speech and the message that we got. It's a rallying call. It should inspire us to do our bits, because government is not in the hands of the president alone. You know, I am a testament to the fact that states and local government are receiving the highest allocation ever in a very long time. They're receiving it now. So he was truthful about that. You know, I see the efforts, the engagement on the international level. He needs people to push him to the finishing line. And with the right people, he will leave a mark.
Thank you very much, sir. After 25 years of uninterrupted democracy, what progress has been made and what gaps remain?
Well, the progress that has been made is that the democracy is stable, but we must look into the democratic process and review some of those challenges that is making people not to turn out in their numbers compared to, I mean, when it's election day, the number of voters we get is almost not up to 50% of those who registered. So we must digitalize our political process so that we can avoid, you know, corruption that leads to ballot rigging and all those things, getting people who are not supposed to be in government position, getting them to be in government position. So if we can strengthen that, yes, we would have added another feather to the cap of the achievement that we have garnered so far. However, economically, we are not where we should be, where we are expected to be. And yeah, we cannot do anything about the past. We can only think of how to correct our past and begin to strengthen our institutions now, look into our judicial processes, go back into our civil service, try to motivate people to do much more than they used to do. How do you do that? Increase incentives that you pay to them, make whatever they are expecting come clean, then establish a KPI among them to motivate themselves. So if we can do all of that, we can begin to see the dividend of democracy reflecting right in our eyes. But for in terms of economic achievement, infrastructural development, we're still very far from where we should be, considering the resources that we have and the human capital development that we maintain, which we can be proud of any time in the world.
Okay. What lessons should we take from the years of military rule and civilian administration?
Well, the military rule were actually a distortion in our democratic process that was very promising at the time, considering the caliber of persons we have as politicians. So I think the injunction of military administrations in between the various democratic period that we enjoyed after independence actually affected the caliber of politicians that we started working with, when we suddenly were able to use civilian unrest to take the military out of power. You know, so those who actually took part in those demonstrations and those fights to strengthen our democracy and increase the passion that drives us in the country, most of them were not prepared for the kind of political process that followed. And so they all missed out. So the people that came out were actually those who, yeah, I mean, it was more or less like a country of the blind where there was only one-eyed man ruling. So so we had to do with that. So that is the shortfall of, that's the disadvantage that the military administration brought in. But I can also tell you that it is not necessarily by way of administration. It has to do with what's the vision of the leader. Well, how does he feel connected to the people? What does he want to do differently? And how much can he abstain from corrupt activities and that are linked to his name directly? And how does he want to be remembered when he gets out of power? Who are the people he's appointing to position? Does he do? I mean, in strategic, instrumental portfolios, the president should be directly involved with who he appoints. There should be relationship. So the gap between people who MD federal and state institution and their leadership, it's too wide. We need to narrow those gaps. So those are some of the things we can do differently.
Okay, thank you so much for that elaborate discourse. Now, many Nigerians feel disconnected from the government. How can trust be rebuilt?
Well, I truly see the disconnection between the government and the people. I was a governorship candidate in the last election. I campaigned. I met leaders of thoughts. I was privileged to be witness how governors, presidents arrive at scenes and how they respond to issues. And I think that, and in the 21st century, we still have a situation where you cannot reach people you elect in power. I don't also blame them because they can also be overwhelmed with unnecessary calls, people who are asking for one thing or the other. So it's a common practice now that you cannot reach anybody until he saves your number in his phone. So, but sometimes the things that change the whole situation for good may eventually come from outside of those that you have within your contact. So we should see leadership as being a relationship between the elected ones and the electorate, and then build this trust, and that can identify with the people, shock some of your followers by visiting them, and don't, when you are in the midst of them, make them feel at home. Let them be able to criticize you. Let them be able to assess you. Let them be able to, but there should be a gap. I mean, that's what I think is leadership. So when you don't have that, you can connect with the people. When there is a disaster, when there are massive death from killings and all that, make a public statement. If possible, make a public appearance. Go there, hold the hands of the victims. Gradually you walk into the consciousness of people because you relate with them in the times of their pain. I don't see that happening in Nigeria. So,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. What reforms are most urgent if Nigeria is to fulfill the dream of 1960?
I think they should step up foreign direct investment drive into the country. Apart from infrastructural development, we should become a country that is building companies, manufacturing investment. Let them come in. Let us engage our teaming supporters with. I saw in his speech mentioning the number of tertiary universities, the institutions that we have now compared to what we had when we gain independence. It's not by numbers, it's by what sort of quality of education are you giving to the people. When they come out as graduates, can you assure them jobs? Most of our people who are doing all the manual jobs these days are graduates. Some of them are holding master's degree. So we've been extorted even in a way that our foreign our highly skilled people are leaving the country for UK, for Canada, for the United States to see greener pasture by paying out of their nose. So we should look at reforms that can guarantee those safeguards gaps, that can close in those gaps and improve the life of the people. So for me, we're on the right path. And if we work together as a team, we will be able to achieve the goal that we're looking for.
Okay. Earlier on, you talked about a rallying call. Can you expatiate further on that regarding the president's speech?
Well, it's a rallying call because the country is divided. The country is divided along political lines, along religious lines, along ethnic lines, and that's not good for our democracy. Because I shouldn't just vote for somebody because he's a Christian, and I don't care who he is because I'm a Christian. I need to vote for him. Whereas the resume of the one who I think can give us better result is a Muslim. So I shouldn't vote because it's not coming from my South-South, or because the last administration from the South-South was president, and as a result of that, we have a good candidate from the North again who wants to become president, and we're saying no to it. It's no democracy. Let them go and flex their muscle and do the needful. So we shouldn't use those as a campaign tool. So for me, the rallying call is that let us unify, irrespective of our religion, our culture, our political divide. But once we see a policy or a thing that is right, let us rally together and use the strength of unity to achieve that positive thing. So until we begin to have that mindset, Nigeria can never improve, no matter what you bring in, because politics will be at every level of governance. So we should eradicate that. And so the government also should do a lot. I mean, let there be sensitization campaigns. Let us see how governors and president respond to issues that can divide us. I mean, during the Charlie Hebdo attack in France, President Francois Hollande was the president of France at that time. After they killed those artists, he came out. He invited some of his world leaders. They had hands on the street of Champs-Élysées in unity, telling the enemy that you can never divide us. United we stand, and strong we shall become. These are the kind of message that will resonate across all lengths of Nigeria. Every Nigerian has a conscience. Every Nigerian wants to live in peace and tranquility. If we have the leadership who can cement that for us, they will all fall in line and we can be united. From there, we can begin to see clearly and work together to make our country better.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Festus, for joining us on this edition of thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. We hope
Thank you for having
to hear
me.
from you very soon.
Thank you very much.
And before we bring in